I have been covering politics for nigh on 20 years. As you know, I've been fortunate enough to be at the centre of British politics, behind the scenes. I've been in head-to-head meetings between the Prime Minister of Britain and countries that we have disagreements with and countries that we are allies with. I've seen what happens when the media leaves the room. I have never in my life heard anything remotely close to what we have just witnessed. We have just witnessed history. We have just witnessed something that is closer to Jerry Springer over war on the European continent. I'm honestly speechless. There's a press conference going to happen later. Apparently, I don't know. I mean, who knows whether it's going to happen later? There's a press conference between Zelenskyy and Trump going to happen later. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if someone's going to emerge with a black eye. Zelenskyy looked like he was going to cry at points during that. 0345 6060 973. It's in these moments, folks. We turn it over to what you think. I mean, you've heard the same thing. We've all been going through the consequences of a war in Ukraine, us because of rising prices, whether it's energy or otherwise. We've all seen the effects of it. Trump has come in and in a month said he's going to do a deal to end the war. What do you think? What do you think? Simon Marks is LBC's Washington correspondent. Simon, what do you think? What do you think?
I think it was a mugging. I think it was a mugging, Tom, and I think it was entirely premeditated. I think that Donald Trump and JD Vance knew exactly what they were going to do the moment that they brought President Zelenskyy into the Oval Office. This is Donald Trump's thank you to the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, who yesterday went out of his way to flatter Donald Trump, invite him to make a state visit to the UK, secured the Prime Minister's approval of President Trump's efforts to try and end the war in Ukraine. And I suspect that they were fully aware yesterday, during that meeting with the Prime Minister, of what they were going to engage in today with the Ukrainian leader, the most courageous figure Europe has seen since 1945. They engaged in a premeditated geostrategic mugging of the Ukrainian president over that 45-minute brutal photo opportunity that Donald Trump deliberately put Zelenskyy through. And you heard him there at one point saying, this is why I let this thing run so long. And it's clear that this was premeditated. This is going to boost Zelensky's standing in Ukraine dramatically. The Russians, and let me just tell you parenthetically, the Russian news agency TASS, a Putin propaganda outfit, was allowed into the Oval Office, but not Reuters or the Associated Press. This is manna from heaven for Vladimir Putin, and it is a massive, massive political problem for Sir Keir Starmer, Lord Peter Mandelson, Number 10, and Emmanuel Macron, of course, who was here on Monday.
And most directly, Ukraine. I mean, there's Trump saying, make a deal or we're out, is a threat that Ukraine cannot do anything but acquiesce to. And so, in a sense, Simon, I'm actually, in a way, really pleased we all got to hear and see that. Because, I mean, there it is. It is authentically angry. That meeting, were it to have happened behind closed doors, obviously would never have been shown, but the readout would have, I think, reflected some of the anger there. But we have all now seen the American president and his sort of vice president kind of bully, almost. You know, the kind of the kid next to you in the playground who goes and starts the fight on your behalf.
Absolutely. But also playing to Trump's
try and take down Zelenskyy in a press conference.
Totally, but also playing to Trump's base and saying, Donald Trump, that he was really glad the American people were getting a chance to see this, and continuing to accuse President Zelensky, as JD Vance disgracefully did there, of not having thanked the United States for its assistance. Zelensky has constantly thanked the United States and the American people for the assistance they have provided him. But this is surely now the moment that the transatlantic alliance ends. I mean, all the talk yesterday, which was, specious at best about the special relationship between the US and the UK, that is now absolutely consigned on the ash heap of bilateral cliches. There is no coming back from this for the UK, for France, for Germany, for NATO members across the board. This is the inflection point that Donald Trump absolutely planned. And it was so obviously premeditated. This wasn't a conversation that was going off the rails. This was a conversation that Donald Trump deliberately kept going, snaring Zelensky in to a trap that he and the Vice President of the United States, JD Vance, unleashed. And, this is Donald Trump doing Putin's dirty work for Putin. There's no question about that. Now, they were supposed to leave that room and go and sign the minerals deal. It's hard to imagine that Volodymyr Zelensky is going to sign anything after that. Then they're supposed to have lunch together, can you imagine? And then a joint press conference. I mean, if you're Volodymyr Zelensky, the presumably the most sensible course now is just to leave the building. But
I don't know. He can sign.
I can't imagine what's going to happen next.
What is the president of Ukraine meant to do if the president of the United States has said, if you don't sign this deal militarily, we're out and you're on your own? The Europeans. We can't make enough bullets to go and help the Ukrainians. We need the Americans too to give us the cover that we are helping Ukraine in pushing back Russian troops. If the American president says, if he follows through on it, Zelensky has no option. He's being bullied into sign a deal, and he's being bullied in front of the cameras.
Yeah, but that is why Zelensky is now going to need massive amounts of geopolitical European assistance, and it's going to require European leaders to start drawing a line in the sand here for the United States and the American government, rather than, as we saw Macron do on Monday and the Prime Minister do yesterday, coming here and thinking that you can flatter your way towards some kind of an agreement on security guarantees in Ukraine. Now, I think it's possible that eventually that deal on rare earths minerals get signed. I'm just wondering whether Zelensky, after that pasting that he took there, and every effort that he made politely to try and steer the conversation back to some semblance of normal, was absolutely torpedoed. I mean, Donald Trump at times was holding him down, and JD Vance was brandishing the shiv, and then other times they switched around. I've never seen anything like it.
Simon, really appreciate it. As always, thank you for being there for us. Simon Marks, LBC's Washington correspondent. Folks, there is more to come. As Simon pointed out, the meeting is happening or about to happen, and then there's a press conference that is going to take place. God knows where we're going to be in about an hour and a half's time or an hour's time when that happens. You're going to need to stick it on LBC tonight, because we're going to bring you absolutely everything as soon as we get it from the White House, at a meeting the likes of which none of us has ever heard before in our lives, over the most important issue of our own, European security, in a generation. 03456060973. Mary's in Frinton-on-Sea. Mary.
Hi, Tom. So I need to take a deep breath, actually. I just watched the press conference, and I was just telling the lady who answered the phone that I felt like bursting into tears when I was watching it, because it just struck me that it was like two horrible bully boys who are kind of in the sixth form of a secondary school, and they've approached third or fourth year and basically saying, if you don't give us your dinner money, we're going to beat the crap out of you. Except it was done in front of the world. I honestly, I just can't believe it.
It's Jerry Springer. And Mary,
absolutely.
And not to take away from the very, very important substance of this. For years and years and years, I've had the privilege of being able to sit here and relay some of what I saw of Trump as president behind the scenes, and the influence of wrestling, WrestleMania, WWE, Andre. This was wrestling. This is WrestleMania in politics on the television, about War and Peace.
Absolutely.
It sort of reached its zenith tonight.
It was the most awful example of just gutter, horrible politics, and like you say, and like your American, I can't remember his name. Sorry,
Simon,
he's very good.
Simon Marks,
yes, thank you, Simon. Absolutely, it was premeditated. You could tell. And then this whole situation with Starmer yesterday. I mean, they must just be laughing. This is the worst kind of bully politics I have ever. It's just awful.